Elissa. Good morning. Elissa, you don't know this, but I'm your biggest brand champion.
I did notice.
I should be on commissions, actually. I can't say that.
You're missing the green, though.
I know. As soon as Elissa saw me that you look half GoDaddy. You need to add some more green. And actually, in our logo, we have green. But we forgot that. We'll make sure that next year we'll change that. Elissa, great to have you. I know you also are super busy. You guys just went IPO just recently, right?
Something like that. Yep.
So,
small event.
Small event. I know you're doing a lot of things. A lot of things are moving for GoDaddy. But before we start with GoDaddy, let's talk about it a little bit personally. You started your technology life early, right?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of background on that part before we start on the GoDaddy front?
Sure. I actually started very early. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Texas next to NASA. And the elementary school I went to there actually had a pilot program where a small group of us got to choose from a bunch of different disciplines. It was anything from ecology to neuroscience to computer science. The neuroscience one, I didn't really understand what you would be doing in 4th grade for neuroscience, but it involved dissecting pigs, and so that was off. So I chose computer science, and instead of going to school for 2 days out of the week, I got to go to the local computer store and learn how to program. Then I got my first computer, and at 14 I had a company, or at least we thought it was a company with a friend, that fixed the local Apple users' PCs and wrote small software programs for them. Found out later it was probably a tax shelter for his dad, but at the time we felt really good.
Wow. So early start with all this innovation, and you in Texas, where are you from, by the way?
Houston.
Houston, okay.
But I don't have the accent.
Anybody? There are a lot of people from Texas, by the way. I know there are a lot of people in Houston.
Houston?
Yeah, we have some NASA people, actually. Just for you to know, we have actually people from NASA here. A few people join us later today is also from Japan. We have a great partner, Networld is here. In the back, Morita-san. One of our biggest customers actually is JAXA, the Japanese NASA in Japan. So we do a lot of work. So all this stuff is, I get too excited. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I don't know if you guys know. Space exploration is a big deal for us. And we're doing some work with actual SpaceX. We're going to talk about it later on. So this is very exciting. So now, taking that rocket science now into day-to-day business at a company like GoDaddy. And GoDaddy changed a lot, right? Transformation. I remember the Super Bowl in the past, the GoDaddy. People ask me, which GoDaddy is this? From a company perspective, from a branding perspective. Can you start talking about us a little bit the company, where it is today, how it changed, and also from a customer-based perspective, who's your customer base? A little bit a high-level understanding for us would be fantastic.
Sure. Well, when I got the call to join GoDaddy, frankly, I said absolutely not. It was a fellow that I'd worked before, and I was like, no way. And then what I found was really surprising. I thought GoDaddy was this very small company. And what I learned is that it had 12 million customers at the time. Now we're at 13 plus million, and it was growing at double-digit rates, the revenues, the customers, and the profit margin. And I thought, how bizarre. Who knew it was that big? And it wasn't international yet. And what was really, personal to me was just a few months before I got the call for GoDaddy, a friend of mine, actually a lady who cuts my hair, had a website and needed some help. And there was a designer that was going to charge her $750 to literally cut and paste some JavaScript. And I was just appalled. So I looked at the website and I said, I'm going to redo it for you. You don't need to be locked into these high prices, because she's a small business. She doesn't have that kind of money. And so basically within 4 hours, using GoDaddy, interestingly enough, I rebuilt the website for her on WordPress. I hadn't used WordPress, wasn't even familiar with it. And so that kind of life-changing experience for my friend really brought home to me the importance of a company like GoDaddy. I used GoDaddy just because I knew about them. I remembered the name because the name has amazing brand awareness. So that was really what kind of brought it home and made it personal to me and made the customer very personal to me as well.
This is an amazing story. I should ask my barbershop. I go to the barbershop on University in Palo Alto. The guy doesn't have any machines. I need to ask him. Maybe I can get you another customer.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a website, but I need to work on this one. So this is an amazing story. So that was in a sense, the GoDaddy movement now to this date, the IPO process, and now you guys are growing very fast, obviously, in multiple fronts. Can you give us a little bit of background on your customer segments, like geographically, maybe what type of customers in terms of large enterprises, some SMBs, consumers, you know, and where do you guys take it from here? Obviously, now you're a public company. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a forward-looking statement chart for you. We don't do those. So can you give us a little bit today's state of affairs versus what's going to happen next a little bit, you know, where you guys are taking the company from here?
Yeah, sure. What was interesting to me, you know, I'd worked at places like Microsoft, who was always trying to reach the small business and never could. And GoDaddy was unique in that we service businesses that are under 10 people with a focus on very small businesses that are under 4 people. And that's pretty rare to be able to reach those very small businesses. And the reason we're successful is actually that we have a customer service organization that has a Net Promoter Score, which is basically the satisfaction with the customer service of around 70%, which is unheard of. It's like Nordstrom's. And so that type of support for those very small businesses is what we're focused on. There's over 200 million small businesses that are out there, and we're laser focused on helping them build their business online so that we can be with them throughout the journey, from when they get a domain name to when they make their first sale, really being the partner and making them successful.
So in that process, Elissa, how would you describe, like, when you're interviewing a new employee or when you're talking to customers or partners, what is the key differentiation that you focus on from a GoDaddy perspective, from an IP perspective? What would be like a few bullets? Because there are a lot of companies are trying to be the GoDaddy, right? This competition is increasing globally with all this public cloud movement. Obviously, you guys are leaders in many segments. How would you explain your differentiation, the touch points, the dimensions? What are those dimensions? Some of them you already mentioned, but at a high level, how would you talk about those things? From a customer perspective, or more importantly, you are right? From a technology officer perspective, chief technology officer perspective, the things you've done and your team has done is the key differentiator for the company's success. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about this a little bit? Maybe getting into the technology side of things a little bit?
Sure. Well, I'll start with just saying what we do. And the company's mission is really all about radically shifting the global economy to small business by enabling them to easily start, confidently grow, and be successful in their own ventures. What we're doing from a technology standpoint is actually looking at how we can bring the cloud and big data to small business, because we fundamentally don't believe that big data and the benefits of big data should be restricted to big business. So we want to democratize big data for small business by enabling these small businesses to generate the next generation of insights to run their businesses more effectively and target their customers more effectively. One of the things that we've done is we've actually built out a Hadoop infrastructure where we're taking data that's freely available from the web and combining it with data that we have, putting machine learning algorithms on top of it so our customers can actually benefit from that. You can see this in a product that we released called Get Found, which crawls the web, uses machine learning, and then actually allows small businesses to get listed across Google, Yelp, Yahoo, so that they can get the visibility across those high traffic sites without having to do the heavy lifting. We want to make that invisible to them so that we do the business, make the business of doing business really easy for them.
That's amazing. We're going to hear a lot of machine learning. This is very contextual. Maybe Pepper can join you.
Yeah, I'd love to have Pepper. Pepper being here is super exciting to me because I want a Pepper.
I love it. That's good. Tying that, Elissa, to some of the things you're delivering to the customer, obviously, from a front-end perspective, the solutions you deliver, they're differentiated. Some of the theme, as you heard from Carl as well, now the geeky part of the conversation, the infrastructure, the big problems to enabling those services in a differentiated way than the next company. You've done some amazing work. Obviously, you don't have to give us all your secret sauce. Wipro people are all texting me, don't give us our secret sauce to people, but at a high level. Our theme is OpenSDx, meaning open source driven, software defined everything, from data center to applications, infrastructure, from data center to end users, applications to infrastructure. How do you use open source technology from compute to storage to networking? Most people don't know, but you guys figured this out before many other people. So without getting too much specific, I'm sure there are pieces that your IP you don't want to share, but pieces that you're proud of and you can share. What was a little bit of secret sauce stuff, without getting too much in detail, that you guys done in that space at a high level that you're proud of? And obviously, I'm asking this question also a little bit self-promo because Nexenta is part of it. At a high level, how did you look at the layers from compute to network to storage? Other pieces, the security is a big deal for you because you're holding other people, your barbershop, your hairdresser information as well. So how did you guys go about that? The decision-making process and some of the things you've done at a high level.
Well, I'll start with open source because GoDaddy's always used open source, but it's really been over the last 2 years that we've become very big proponents of open source. We just joined the Node.js community that was, or foundation that was just started. We're part of the OpenStack Foundation as of last year. And that's all because we believe not only in the value of open source, but also in giving back to the community. And we've hired actually a bunch of committers from these various OpenStack or open source projects in an effort to actually give back to the community. Now, from a technology stack standpoint, at the lowest level, we actually use OpenStack as our orchestration system, and that's for, right now, compute, eventually storage, and networking as things grow out, and the support within OpenStack becomes more robust. Above that, we have a series of application services, and that might be, what we call the serving stack, what's responsible for serving the user experience, and that's anything from identity to personalization to Cassandra is our NoSQL store that we use for quickly serving small amounts of data, to domains we view as actually a platform component because it's key to every product that we build, and we have a series of other application layer technologies, and then in front of that we use an API proxy so that we have REST-based APIs so that our application developers can build applications very, very quickly. Now, that technology stack is very much based on open source, as you can hear. You can see this in our products. For instance, Website Builder, we just released over the last year, and it uses Cassandra, Redis, and a bunch of other open source technologies as the basis of it. And what that allows us to do is move very quickly. Those systems have been tested at scale, and they work cross data center. I mean, Cassandra is a great technology for actually getting consistency cross data center. And so by us embracing that and not building it on our own, we're able to leverage the benefits and focus on abstracting that for our customers, so that what's underneath the technology, our differentiator is making that invisible to small businesses, right? They shouldn't have to know what technology they're taking advantage of, but they get the benefits of cloud scale for running their small business, which includes the low cost.
Which is amazing. And by the way, tying to this, my first meeting with you, I remember, speaking of 24 months, I joined Nexenta about 20 months ago. And I remember as we started our engagement, there were some challenges, open source, a lot of components, and so on. And I heard Elissa needs to meet you and wants to meet you immediately. So I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a tough meeting. This is my first meeting at Nexenta ever, first day. And I'm an investor into Nexenta. I'm part of the board as one of the investors. Our investors are in the room as well. Thank you for being here. They don't know this. I'm going to tell them first time. So I'm going with our team. And I never been in a meeting, even though we have some challenges, the way Elissa kept everything in context with your team and our team. And I felt like she has a capability, and I really mean this, not just the key. The way you looked at the things and you just said something to me I never forgot. You said, great technology, but we care about not just the technology, we care about outcomes. And service support, how these things come together with open source technology and delivering value for you was a key thing. And I'm not trying to say this in a wishy-washy, good feel way. That was a great direction to our team. And I know we work for you. We see it as an extension to your IT team and innovation as a company. And I'm sure other people you work with, they feel the same way. So in a sense, what you're doing with open source, drinking your own champagne, you use your vendor community as part of a collaboration tool for GoDaddy. And we really appreciated that from the beginning. So on that note, from a relationship perspective, you've been super inspirational to us, the things that you're doing, truly so to our team. Your name comes up in every meeting. I hope you know that. You should charge people.
Is that a good thing?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So from a future perspective, where do you take the things from this point forward? You're here in obviously OpenStack, now containers coming into the game. From a technology perspective, at a high level, based on things you're seeing, can you give us maybe a couple of things, maybe one thing that you're excited about as a future direction from a technology perspective is going to impact more business value for the company?
Oh, yeah, you bet. With the proliferation of devices, first as sensors years ago, but now as sensors and devices connected to the Internet of Things, that's really what's been behind the explosion of data over the last decade. If you look at the series of trends around cloud, data, and devices and how those come together and how it's changing business significantly and how businesses do business with their customers, we're very excited about that. Uber's a great example of this if you think about it because they have a device, they have the cloud, and they have data. And they're changing the customer experience and more importantly, they've changed the business model for the card services industry. And we see that same type of innovation for other parts of the industry, including small business. The challenge for small businesses, which is who we focus on, is really how do you embrace those trends because they're not focused on technology. They self-identify as non-technical people. How do you embrace those trends to actually move with the business as the business is moving ahead of you? And so we see it as our job to actually help them embrace those trends and make it invisible to them so that they can be more successful marketing themselves and building their business across social, mobile, and web, across devices as well.
Fantastic. So one question, not to put you on spot, but I was having a conversation with Jonathan Bryce, OpenStack Foundation Executive Director. As you know, Jonathan is going nuts, 500,000 miles a year, traveling all over the place. So he goes, if I pay you a little bit, can you ask a question to Elissa? Can you make sure that she joins us maybe in OpenStack Japan as a keynote? Would you be interested?
I would love to go to OpenStack Japan.
That would be awesome to have you with Pepper. Pepper is going to be there.
Pepper's going to be there
as well. So that would be fantastic. So I'm going to talk to Jonathan. Actually, I'm going to text him right after this. I know that event is going to be a big deal. Actually, a lot of companies are following up your footsteps. Again, I should pay you royalties on this. Actually, we just started the Hyundai Car Cloud. Hyundai is going to be the Korean car company. Hyundai is going to be there themselves. And when they were doing their own cloud service, as a public cloud service to themselves and to their dealerships, they were asking us, what are the other cloud service examples? And obviously, GoDaddy was one of the examples, and your team has been very helpful to give them some ideas, the good, the bad, the ugly of the open source and how to get around those challenges by lowering the cost. And one thing you told me I never forgot, it's not only OPEX, CapEx, combination, and innovation through inspiration and collaboration with the vendors you work. So we follow that, and actually CIO from Hyundai is going to be there, and GMO Internet Group is going to be, Networld is going to be there, some of our Japanese customers, and I believe JAXA is going to be there. So we would love to have you at OpenStack Japan. I'm going to send an email to Jonathan today to let him know. Anything else, Elissa, you want to add, the things that we didn't cover probably?
No,
I'm sure there are tons of things, but...
the only thing I do is actually thank you as well. I remember our first meeting very vividly in a good way because you really have led an Accenture and set the example of how a vendor partners with a small business provider like ourselves. You provide a level of support, frankly, I've never had before with a vendor, and it's fantastic, particularly as we have had to build out the infrastructure and work around some of the network design which exists at GoDaddy. So just want to thank you as well because you guys have been phenomenal partners.
Thank you so much. None of this is rehearsed.
No, promise.
No. And by the way,
you can pay me later.
That would be good. By the way, what's your shoe size?
It is 7.5 typically, and I have a pair of orange and green ones for GoDaddy. I'm going to give to you as well, Chuck Taylors. I have a whole Chuck Taylor thing.
Done. Mine is.
So we'll switch.
Done.
Right?
You're done. You're going to make that happen. Elissa, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being part of it. I know you're super busy, and I know you said you're going to try to be here around, maybe in the break. But if you cannot make it, we will make sure that we'll invite you again. I hope you like Vegas, at least for maybe a couple of hours.
I'm one of those people that's split on Vegas. It depends.
Oh, yeah, okay.
whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Yeah, yeah, true. So thank you so much for being part of this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
and
Kurt.
thank you for the partnership with Next Center. Yeah. Thank you. Big hand. Oh, right here. Right here. Thank you.